Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick. Today we have set number 70627, Dragon's Forge, contains 1,137 pieces and retails for $79.99, which is a deceptively low, not deceptively, but, you know, a very low price to piece ratio. And we'll talk more about that later in the review, but let's see if what we get out of this thing makes it worth that lower price to part ratio. Most of the set is good guy oriented. You could argue that the forge itself is kind of a bad guy building, but we're not going to discuss that too much. Basically, moral of the story is it seems like it's more good guy focused in the context of the set alone, so we're going to, you know, address it as that. But for the bad guy side, you do get 2 Vermilion Warriors, Slackjaw and Ragmonk, Commander Ragmonk, which we'll take a look at later. But you also get this cool little Buff Million build, and 4 of these red snakes, which we'll just get out of the picture now. But the Buff Million is an interesting build, actually. The base is built to kind of like be a snake, almost. You can kind of like, whoops, not break it, no, but you can kind of stretch it out like this so that it becomes almost like a big snake, because it's made up of a lot of smaller snakes. But, you know, you can fold it, that's kind of the best position for it. But, yeah, it's got these 4 snake heads, which I think are cool, and you can pose those around however you want. Kind of looks like it's wearing a helmet, which is, you know, good, accurate. I like the armor plating that it puts over there, and I like how everything is either, you know, a color that's appropriate for the armor or red, except for these Technic parts. I kind of wish that they were, you know, the little tiny red things, but then you wouldn't be able to really spin it, and, you know, that's kind of one of the features here. It can almost grab a figure, kind of, in these little snake tentacles. There, he's holding on to it, kind of. But, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to do so. It does have stickers on the bottom to detail the armor out completely, and I like the use of these red Big Fig arms. The dragon is significantly larger and more finished than I was expecting initially. Oops, his mouth is kind of messed up just a tad. But this is the fusion dragon, so it's kind of split down the middle between fire and water, and the dragon does belong to Nia and Kai, so that's kind of cool. I like the heads and the fact that they use the different color schemes, the opposite, like, and I think that for the most part they look okay. From the side they look a little weird and they seem to be a little flat, but I think that it's an okay looking build, and, you know, they work well for the size of the dragon. And it does have 2 neck joints. It has the 1 ball joint up here and then the one there, so I guess 4 in total because 2 heads. But the wings, you know, are kind of simple. They have a friction adder joint, so they stay really well in place. And there's a printed 2x2 round tile on either side, and obviously the entire thing is color flipped, basically. The legs, you know, they work, and you can move them in and out and rotate them and all that. Everything you can do with normal legs. This, I think, is probably my favorite part of the dragon, just this back, how the colors stripe and everything. I think it looks really nice. And, yeah. Even continues on to the sides, which are mostly black, but, you know, just these pieces work well with it. And it does have the tails, which actually flip sides. As you can see, it twists over, and, you know, the sides flip again, so it's, you know, twisting and twisting and twisting and twisting, and it just keeps, you know, changing. And they have, they're very posable. They have basically all ball joints, and then even the end, the golden blade, is ball jointed. And in the center, you can see that there's space for both Kai and Nia, and you can either make them both face forward, as I have them here, or you could turn Nia around, and it's a little bit harder to fit that way because then you have the 2 shoulder pads in the middle, but then she can use the crossbow stud shooter piece, and it just shoots out studs. It's a little weird that they chose hollow studs, because those don't work as well, I don't think, as regular not hollow studs. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, the dragon, I think, takes up probably about maybe 400 to 500 pieces. So I think a little bit smaller than the Forge in terms of piece count, but still more than I was expecting. And actually, maybe it might be between 300 and 500 pieces. We'll go with that just to be safe. But, yeah, it looks good, I think, and it's definitely one of the highlights of the season. Takes, you know, takes part in some of the better scenes. The Forge, though, has to take the cake as my favorite part of the set, because I like when Ninjago does building playsets. You know, I think that they do a good job with them, and this is no exception. First, just from this front outside facade, it looks fantastic. I like the cross swords on the top with the, you know, different colored hilts, and you know, a little bit weird looking in there, but that's actually a very important part of it. And you can kind of squeeze it together a little bit to make it kind of fit, but I think that this is its default resting position. And the stairs there are decently cool. I like the way that they slightly angle these in. That's good. And then these windows on the sides are nice, and they use that 4x4 quarter round tile. And they have lanterns hanging around the sides. Back is nothing special. You can see Technic parts and the back system windows, but at least they fully enclose it, you know, in terms of the sides. I would have liked to see a fully enclosed roof, but, you know, it's kind of small for that, so, like, they don't have many pieces left over, and I would rather have had them go with this than a less detailed front, just to get the roof on there. But they do roof around the sides, which I think is a good look, and there's a little tree on this side. But you can open it up, which is kind of nice in the way they do it, because it actually folds underneath itself, so it kind of gives you more interior space than you know, you would have gotten otherwise. So there's kind of a little hollow space underneath there, but, you know, I feel like it's definitely justified. On this side, there's a little lamp up here, and then there's a sticker on the wall with the Japanese or Ninjago language symbol. There's a little sticker here, which looks like that, and it's actually removable because inside there is a Ninjago trading card sticker, which we've seen stuff like this before, but this is the first time we've gotten a Samurai X one, which is cool. And you just hide that underneath there, and then it becomes basically a bench. Inside, or that right there, is kind of like a little grindstone thing or something. You just turn it, and it doesn't look like it does much, but it does, you know. And this thing does turn. And on the other side, we have a little eating area or something, which I think, you know, is good. It uses a sticker for that little tile on the ground, which does look kind of cool, and it has a really nice pattern on there. And the actual, whoops, shaky camera there for a second, my tripod started folding up. But the, you know, little mats on the ground are nice, and I like the teapot mold's inclusion here. And on the wall there is another symbol, as well as some cups on top of a stove, or some kind of cabinet, or refrigerator maybe, which inside contains a tray with some sushi pieces. And there's two of those sushi prints, as well as an extra part of that included. And the inside is where, you know, Ray and Maya are kind of being held captive. That's why he has handcuffs. But you could just, you know, not make them captive if you want, and this could just be their forge, which I think is a good option to have. And inside there are two anvils. One has trans blue and one has trans orange on the bottom. And the anvils are identical builds, but they're cool. And you have these hammers which you can just kind of like hit up and down. In the back there are some weapons. They include one of those copper Urukai swords, some daggers, swords, some brick-built weapons which are just on the wall. This is a cool gear hammer. Some more interesting stuff here. Those are some nice parts that I don't think I had before. And then in here, just an axe and another katana. And then in the center is the forge, which, you know, you can turn that gear on the back and it, you know, kind of makes the flames wobble back and forth, which I think is cool. There's something else that does, but I'll show you that in a second because that goes more with the second feature of this. This on the top, that's a sticker, and you know, it looks pretty good. And I like the rock pieces they use on the side. I think they're appropriate for this kind of chimney. And on the back, this is kind of plain. But there is a 2x2 slot that it's open on the top, which has to do with the next feature, which is kind of impressive actually. The stairs lift up and you can pull out the dragon blade. I think that's what it was called, right? But you know, it's obviously the fire and water powered blade. And you take that and you stick it in that hole and it turns the flame mechanism, which also turns this top thing, which if we zoom in there, you can see it becomes one with Kai's symbol and fire and water, and then it becomes this, and it becomes one with Nia's symbol, and then back to that original stone one, which I would imagine would be the standard, just plain old one. This one here is kind of interesting. It kind of is like the fusion dragon, I guess, symbol, or that's what it would represent. But let's put that all back in there and show you the one other thing that you can do here, which I would imagine that would unlock, because then you can put the fusion dragon right up top. There is a 2x2 inverted tile, and you can just stick that right on there, and then you have your fusion dragon on top of the dragon's forge, which I think looks pretty cool, and I think that is a pretty good feature, as well as just a display option for any of you who are just gonna take this set and build it and put it on display. So I think that's cool, but there's still a couple more cool things to see. So let's take a look at the figures. So first we'll take a look at the two unexclusive figures, which are Commander Ragmonk and Slackjaw. Slackjaw gets this cool weapon built with a vermilion axe blade piece, and Ragmonk gets the vermilion sword. He has this, you know, helmet piece, which is in quite a few vermilion warrior figures. He has this cool face, which is exclusive to this character. He also appears in the Vermilion Invader. But, you know, it's got two sides, and it is on this darker orange color, which only Ragmonk gets, as far as the Vermilion, so that's cool. This armor piece appears on quite a few of them, but it is pretty nicely detailed and looks good, and matches up with the helmet nicely, which you'll see again when I put them back together. There's this torso and leg print, looks cool, I like how the dark orange is on the legs as well, and the back print, you know, just has a bunch of snakes. Slackjaw has a similar style of print, but obviously red on gunmetal gray, and the leg print is different in detail as well as in color, so I think that, you know, it's pretty cool figure, some nice details on there, but I will admit that I'm not a big fan of these Vermilion figures compared to the, you know, other kinds of villains. And Slackjaw, lastly, does have two sides to his face. He has that side, and he has this side, which looks a whole lot more creepy, but we're going to stick with this side. So, these guys are the only two figures in the set who are not exclusive, though. So let's... Wait, Kai and Nia are exclusive? I thought Nia appeared in the Samurai VXL, and Kai's in the Vermilion attack. But, I guess he doesn't have the mask, so, maybe that's exclusive, but it's also in the Ultra Stealth Raider, so I don't know. Well, spoiler alert, the faces are actually unique prints to these two figures. The other ones from this Hands of Time wave do not get these faces, which is kind of interesting. I like Kai's torso and leg print, and Nia, looks good in her ninja outfit, and her face actually looks very similar to the Samurai X version from the Tournament of Elements wave, but if we turn their faces around, you can see they have this weird eye energy, glowy stuff, and angry faces, which, looks cool, and it's kind of specific to the dragon forge power or whatever, so that's the point there, and I think that it's good. Nice to see included. And the back print on both of them, is good. I will probably do a minifigure showcase at some point in the future for both of these. As with, all figures, they'll probably get done eventually. If there's any specific that you want to see, let me know in the comment section down below. But, yeah, that's these guys. They're cool. It's nice to get new faces for Kai and Nia, But, the actual ninja suits are gonna come and go, but I have a feeling these next two figures are. Yep, that's right. Rei and Maya, or I guess Maya and Rei technically, but I've de-handcuffed Rei, and we'll disarm Maya. These two characters appeared for the first time in the Hands of Time episodes of the TV series, and by the way, reverse time blade if I didn't mention that, but they are pretty cool figures to get, finally. I like the... Actually, I guess they did appear probably in backstory, but we don't need to talk about that. I definitely meant what I said the first time. But Maya's face is she looks kind of young, so that's a little weird. Slight criticism there. She looks older in the show, but, whatever. And she does have a worried expression on the back. I like her back torso print quite a bit, especially since it's covered by the hair most of the time. That hairpiece isn't super common in that color either, so that's cool. Rei, for some reason, just his torso, I don't know, it's probably the same as it is in the show, but I just don't remember it looking like that. I like the dragon on there, and the legs, look good, but it's just that it doesn't feel like this outfit's super recognizable to me, and I'm not sure why that is. I can't tell you at all. It just doesn't feel right, and I don't know. But I like his face here. Looks really good, and his hair, is the right choice. The back of his face is a little weird because of that headband, but I like it nonetheless, and I like the back of his torso print. I think that it's nice and appropriate. Maybe we just don't see him with his apron all that often, but whatever. These two figures, though, are really, really nice, and I'm super glad to get them in a set like this. And, yep. Yeah, Kai and Nia also get their hair pieces, but, nothing compared to their new face prints. And, honestly, this mask for Kai is kind of more impressive than his hair. But, Nia's doesn't come in too many Ninjago sets, so that's a nice inclusion here. But, overall, I think that this Dragon's Forge set is one of the best Ninjago sets out there. $80 is a really good price for this. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they had sold just this dragon, or just the I guess just the dragon would probably make a good $40 set. Throw in a little Vermilion Warrior or something. You could probably pull that off. The Forge, too, could make its own, probably $50 set, at least. And, just throw some other bad guy stuff in there. They could easily have sold this as two separate sets and made you buy both of them in order to get the dragon function and all that. But I really like the whole combination of the two models. I think that it's a really nice scene. It takes up a good amount of bulk. It feels big enough, and I feel like $80 is a great price. They probably could have gotten away with maybe throwing in one or two more figures and then pricing it at $100. I think that people still would have bought it, but at $80, you can't get much better than that. But I still did, and I got it for $46 using a combination of different sales and stuff. So it worked, but it's a really nice set, and hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all later.